Hey, welcome to the channel. We hope that you enjoy today's stories and check out the chapters on the video to see all the stories for today. But before we get into this video, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to get notified when we release a new video. So let's get into the video.
We went to see the huge abandoned house at night. I've been wanting to tell this story to people so badly, and now I can. When I was 14 or 15 during the summer, we used to travel up to Pennsylvania to visit my aunt and grandma. It was usually my mom, myself, and sometimes one of my sisters that would go with us. My brother and other sister would stay with my dad at home. We usually only stayed there for a week or two. Where my aunt lived, it was country. Like the closest neighbor was a good ways away. When I was up there, I would hang out with my older cousin who was 17. They lived near a huge abandoned rundown building. You could see it from my aunt's house. It had a huge amount of land. My cousin says it was a mental hospital, but my aunt says it was a hotel that shut down. I've tried looking it up, but no info on the building. I remember this night very well. My cousin had a girlfriend. This girlfriend had a younger sister I was interested in. My cousin was going to sneak out and visit her. I asked if I could go. He said no, but reluctantly agreed after a few pleases. To explain the path. If we went through the dirt road that was lit up by a few street lights, it was an easy 30-minute walk. If we walked through the land by the building, it was a 10-minute walk. He took a flashlight with him and we made our way towards his girlfriend's house. Mind you, it was close to 1 a.m. The way we had to walk by that old building. Don't know why, but it gave me Willis walking by. It felt like you had eyes on you. The path there, nothing happened. We got to the house and we ended up leaving at almost 3 a.m. I had fun. When we were walking back, my cousin commented how eerily quiet it was. This was a rural area where you can hear bugs and nocturnal animals. He told me to walk fast. I made fun of him for being scared. He told me to cut it out. I remember kicking a rock on the ground. We were probably 100 feet away from the building when he palms my chest in a stopping motion. I look at him and he has a shushing motion and points forward. His face said it all. I have never seen him like that. He was not an easy person to frighten. I look up and all I can see is something white spinning. Like if a person wearing a dress was spinning. Like they were dancing. It was dead silent. I moved the flashlight from the ground towards the white thing and it was a lady. Super pale, black hair. As soon as the light hits her, she stops and she kind of evaporates. She was heading towards the front door of the building. From where we're at, we can see the streetlights on the dirt road and book it to the road. My cousin and I didn't speak of it on the way home. When we got into his room, I asked what the heck that was. His response shook me to the core.
I don't know, but I saw it staring at us from one of the windows of the building when we first passed by. I just didn't want to scare you.
That explained why he was so serious and didn't want to joke with me on the way back.
I bought a haunted doll and now I don't know what to do with it. I received the doll yesterday, a day early, much to my excitement. When I opened the box and unwrapped it, I noticed that there was a small amount of damage to her. The soles of her shoes had fallen off. All that walking around maybe? She smelled strongly of Gain laundry detergent. Like she had been doused in it. No flowers, specifically, just detergent. My dog, Bellatrix, aka Bella, a very good girl, became interested in it immediately. She came over to sniff the doll and watched the whole time I repaired the shoe, either laying at my feet or sitting up and watching over the table. After the repair, she followed me around the house looking for a spot to place the doll and sat outside the bedroom gate when I took her into the place where I would finally decide to put the doll, staying there even after I left the room. Nothing else interesting has happened since. A little backstory on Bella: she's an old dog, quite lazy and spoiled, and likes to sleep on her special fancy dog bed, most of the day and all night. The animals are not allowed in the bedroom, and we have a gate up, so they don't go in. Bella is extremely protective, and anything that makes her feel nervous will get a bark, growl, or whine. Bella also loves babies. Adores them. Human or animal, she can't get enough. Our most recent kitten addition to the family was abandoned too early, and Bella slept by her side and would come and get our attention when she needed to be fed. In my opinion, Bella was acting like this was a new baby in the house. None of the other animals had any interest in the doll. This beautiful girl was purchased at an antique shop in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. On a road trip visiting family in Allison Park, we love to take advantage of stopping in shops along the way. A cute shop, overstuffed with items, and as we tried scanning what they had, came across her behind other dolls on a shelf. Was like she sent some type of signal to make us find her. For the amount they had, we didn't even get to look through the half, but were led right to her. She was the only one we bought the entire trip, but having her along for the ride was like we did have another person with us. A presence could be felt. After returning home, the first evening we set her in our dining room, we didn't experience too much out of the ordinary. The atmosphere, however, seemed to lighten the mood. The smell of flowers filled our dining room where she stood, and our cats spent the evening in the room with her. Our dogs, yes, we find it happens a lot with good spirits, but our cats only last so long before they go on their way. Queen, for some reason, was different, one of the few they liked. When we came down the next morning, the smell of flowers was strong, like roses and lilies. Being sensitive, she seemed like a very happy, caring person, and although she didn't perform anything noticeable overnight, we both knew we could feel each other's presence, and our cats were still laying on the table near her. We never got a name from her, so have addressed her as Queen, and she has responded from the beginning. That evening when we started to communicate, our equipment immediately started spiking. The atmosphere in the room was calm and relaxed, and the faint smell of flowers was still there. Our K2 kept spiking from 1 green to red, and the mel meter rose up steadily until it leveled off at 1.1. The air got colder around us, and our dogs ended up sitting next to us at the table, alert as if they were also listening to someone we didn't see. We had to put our cats in a locked bedroom since they decided they weren't moving and kept laying on our equipment to be close to her. We asked her if she liked our home and our pets. We got what sounded like very much through the spirit box. Didn't respond vocally, so we turned the spirit box off. Asking yes and no questions with the K2, we learned that yes, she was a woman, she was married, she was from the Pittsburgh area, died in the early 2000s, was in her 40s, had 2 children and yes, 3 cats. Through our night vision screen, we caught an orb coming out of the doll, and as it hovered above her, seemed to change into a white mist anomaly. We talked for almost 2 hours the first night, such a sweet, loving woman, and after another half hour of no response, we started to turn everything off. As we turned the equipment off, in our night vision screen, we could see yet another mist anomaly form above her and slowly dim out. We thanked her for her last interaction, and as we put everything away, the faint flower smell seemed to disappear. Was as if her energy seemed to be drained after interacting for so long. We have left her among us since. We do still have to watch when the cats want to lay next to her where we keep her, seems they love her company. Nothing but positivity, love, and light from her. Please note, as some have questioned a spirit not interacting with them in items they have purchased from other sellers, spirits have their own personalities, and sometimes it does take them a day or 2 or even longer to adjust to their new surroundings.
If you're enjoying today's video about stories of our lives, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this and more. Now, let's get back to the video.
They don't do parlor tricks, and if they choose to hold off on interacting, it is their right to do so. They do not perform on command. They should be treated with the respect they deserve and patience, because in some cases it was not their choice or preference to stay among us. I do start my bidding at just above the cost of what I paid for my items, as to cover the costs of selling. I don't believe in hiking them up. The bidding is your decision, and rehoming the items is my goal. If for some reason payment can't be made within the first 3 days, please contact me to let me know. Otherwise, I assume you have changed your mind and I will relist the item. Our family has been doing paranormal investigations for 14 years. From Eastern State Prison, White Hill Mansion, New Jersey, Salem, Massachusetts, Penhurst Asylum, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and many more locations. We've collected many haunted items over the last 10 years. And at this point, although I personally feel an attachment to them, we need to make room for some of our newer acquisitions. I'll hope they are going to a good new home with someone who will treat them with the respect they deserve. Per eBay policy, I can't guarantee paranormal activity. Each individual's experience may be different from what we experienced.
What did I lure into my backyard? I recently bought a house on the edge of a big forest. My father passed away when I was 19, and since my parents were divorced, I inherited everything myself. After my father's passing, I had trouble focusing on school, so while I was supposed to graduate when I turned 21, I only just graduated this year after turning 24. After finishing school, I bought a beautiful old house on the edge of a giant forest on the edge of my childhood town. I wanted to turn this house into a bed and breakfast, but it needed a lot of renovating. While renovating this house, I'm living in it myself, as right now I cannot afford a second house to live in. The house came with some old floodlights that illuminate the first line of trees in the backyard, making for a beautiful scene when eating dinner. Every night when I can't sleep because of my paranoia, I go to my window and look out at the trees and the night sky. Now here's where the first strange thing happens. A couple of times when looking outside between 1 and 4 a.m. I could see strange flickering lights in the woods. It almost looked like reflections of a bunch of disco balls in the forest. But the strangest part is the fact that I could clearly see them move. I never really thought anything of it and just brushed it off as some fireflies or something similar. This strange phenomenon still keeps going on to this day, months later. However, a couple of weeks after moving in, I woke up one night to strange noises. I swear it sounded like scratching at the old wooden doors and windows downstairs. I never got the courage to get up and go look, as I am incredibly paranoid and still check my closet before bed every night at 24 years old. I did, however, put a night vision camera down after those sounds happened the second night in a row. I also put some eggs and other food scraps in front of the camera, as this always seemed to work when I was a child. This is where things turn increasingly worrying. I had been putting this camera down for a couple of days, and every morning when I went to check, the camera was either turned around, flipped down, or sometimes even completely somewhere else. This made me think it was some guy pranking me. However, every single morning all the food was gone and there were never any footprints on the grass, in the mud, or anywhere else. Even on rainy, muddy nights, there was no trace of what took the food. I had a terrible feeling every morning when I looked outside and saw the camera was gone again. I just knew deep down this was something more, something else other than a human or some other animal. On a Friday night, after working hard the whole day, I noticed I forgot to put the camera outside after putting the food out. I thought to myself, I'm not going out there in the middle of the night with the food there already. So I decided to take another look at the footage I already had from countless times before. I then noticed something I hadn't noticed before. Every single time before the camera got knocked over, it turned quiet. And I mean completely quiet, as if the sound glitched or got removed. No more owls or nightly animals, just silence. Then, skipping an hour forward, the noises returned. This happened on every single video, every single one. This same scene kept going on and on for months, until finally, when working on the garden, I had a wooden fence put down. After I put the fence down, I thought it would be useless putting the camera and the food down again, as there was no way this animal could get in my backyard anymore. I went to sleep, and when I woke up, I went to the kitchen looking out into the backyard, when my heart sank into what felt like an endless abyss. The newly placed fence was completely demolished, and there was a massive hole in the middle of the fence about a full meter wide. I know what you're thinking, but there are no bears in my area, not even in my country. I have no clue what burst through my fence that night, and neither did the authorities. That is the reason I posted this. This happened just this Monday, and I have no clue what to do next. The scary part is that I found wood splinters all the way towards where I usually put the food out. Still, there was not a trace of any footsteps or animal traces. I haven't slept in the house since that night, and I've stayed this week back at my mom's house since I'm honestly too scared to go back there unless it's bright daylight. I wanted to post this here to ask you guys, what is this? What did I accidentally lure into my backyard? And how do I get rid of it?
Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to see more videos about stories of our lives. Click on one of these videos to watch more and see you soon.